ultra Tuscan orange grapefruit. My God, America is imploding.
Sup? Welcome to Fanzone. My name is Tim. I have Stitch's ass in my face, and we're here for another episode. This might go down as the worst and or greatest episode of debate to ever happen at Multiplex. Joining me today, we have Mr. Cody Newberry. Cody, tell me, why are the Dodgers your favorite team?
I've got a new hat. This one, you're gonna get galactic pink eye. I'm guaranteeing from that. Those stitches about to shit in your face. Two,
You just cut out.
I know my AirPod just dropped. That's insane, crazy. I don't even know where they are. Second thing, this doesn't end tonight. So, like, if this goes the distance and people get pissed by a certain judgment on it, we're gonna be sitting across a restaurant soon, and Boatman's gonna be like, "Yeah, fucking MCU question. You want the fucking fries? Fuck you!" Throws them in his face. It's gonna be great. I'm excited. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of yelling, high pitch and low pitch. It's gonna be gross. But I'm glad Robert's here. Robert can live it with us. The new Multiplex editor.
That's true. Robert, welcome, Multiplex editor extraordinaire. Robert, how are you doing this evening? What do you think of the match?
I'm doing lovely, and it will be a match, and those are the only thoughts that I have on it, because I don't know the questions or the answers or anything. I'm coming in blind.
That's fair. All right.
Before I got on this call, I didn't know who the competitors were, so.
You were in the green room.
I didn't look. I 100% didn't look. I went into the chat and clicked the StreamYard link.
That's fair. All right, so we will first bring in the number 5 seed, the lower ranked competitor tonight, Mr. Kaleb Boatman. Kaleb, how are you feeling about debating TWOHIG, and also will you throw fries at us if a call doesn't go your way?
I'll throw fries at you all if a call does go my way. I don't care.
No, that's motivation. All right, I like
some table manners, you savage.
Hey, at least I'm not ordering chicken tendies. I just want to point out that I don't see Robert that often, but every time I see him, he looks a little bit more like the human villain in a Transformers movie. Like he's about to tell me about why we can use the power of the Decepticons.
I am Patrick Dempsey. That's actually true. So it takes off mask.
Oh my goodness!
It's McDreamy. It was McDreamy all along.
Jesus. Do you have any thoughts about your competitor or your opponent this evening?
I have made John C. Riley but a lumberjack joke way too much, so I don't have anything.
That's fair. That's fair. We will bring in your opponent.
Much man of the mucha.
Your opponent, the number 4 seed. His name is Nick TWOHIG. Nick, welcome. How do you feel about the match this evening? You are wearing a Rocky shirt. Does that mean you are going to punch like Rocky this evening?
Oh, well, no, that would be weird because, like, we're talking about movies and stuff. So I'm in a room, like, in a basement very far away from all of you, so I don't know why.
I'll punch like Rocky. It's clobbering time.
Yeah, that was Rocky's catchphrase. I actually haven't heard a John C. Riley joke in a while. It's been a little bit. So one would have been welcome, maybe later. It's okay. And yeah, no, I'm excited. Boatman's really good. I thought he did beat Cody when I was judging, but Cody's not very good at this, so I guess that doesn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
cool. I'm in favor early.
Right. Well, this is how the show is going to work, guys. We have 4 categories that the competitors drafted. We gave them some questions for the categories. They're going to debate those questions. Each player will get a 1-minute opening, a 5-minute free form that they will both be debating back and forth, 1-minute closing for each player as well. The first player to 3 points is the winner. If we are tied after the 4 prepped rounds, we will go to a bonus question ooh, what could it be? So are there any questions from the competitors as we get into it?
No.
All right, well, let's fight. Maybe. All right, guys, your first question is going to come in the category of sports movies. And the question is, what is the best moment in a non-fandom sports movie? So this was drafted by Mr. TWOHIG, so he'll get to go first. TWOHIG, you have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking, and I will come in and give you a 10-second warning.
Rocky's not in fandom anymore. So the greatest, honestly, fandom included, I think this is the greatest moment in any sports movie. Mostly because of the build-up, because of what happens around it. I'll just use my opening to explain the moment to you. So the moment I picked is when Adonis Creed first knocks down Victor Drago in Creed 2. Adonis has been knocked down after he won the fight by disqualification, but he got his butt beat. He's really at like his lowest point. And in the match, when this moment sort of happens, his ribs are broken. He's literally got one hand to fight, and he's on the mat. And he just has it goes silent around him. He has his girlfriend yelling at him, telling him to do better. He starts pounding the mat. He gets up, fights Victor, who is this dominant force with one hand, and then knocks him down for the first time. And then the Rocky theme plays, and they had been holding it in the Creed franchise, and it's the greatest moment in any sports movie.
Time. All right. Boatman, you now have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
I picked a little bit less of a flashy pick. I picked a scene from the film He Got Game. And He Got Game, the main premise is Denzel Washington's character, Jake Shuttlesworth, has to convince his son, who has been estranged from, to go to a specific university so that Jake can be released from prison. And basically, there's been all this tension throughout the movie. And basically, the way Jake gets Jesus to decide is, I will play you in a one-on-one match. If I win, you have to go to this university. If I don't, you go wherever you want. So there is so much emotional tension, and this actual moment is great. It's filmed very naturally. Denzel and Ray Allen are actually the ones playing basketball, and Spike Lee just said, play. That moment is brilliant.
Time. All right. Creed 2, He Got Game. 5 minutes of free form. Don't talk over each other, or I'll come in and hit you with a stick.
Oh, geez. Okay. So first, and you can answer this after, but like, I want to know like what the moment is. You picked sort of like a 3 to 4 minute scene, which is good. I didn't hate He Got Game. I actually watched it for the it wasn't a bad movie. I just think when we're talking about the greatest moment in any sports film, yes, you picked a less flashy moment, but I think it should kind of involve sport. Like sports should be a good aspect of the moment, and literally the apex of boxing, of how boxing is shown. It's one I think boxing movies work so well because they are filmed so well. Like it's such a good story between the underdog in Michael B. Jordan, even though he is the champion, he's clearly the underdog. And boxing is filmed in that good a way. I think the moment in He Got Game is more focused on like the scene of him talking. And to me, while that's a good scene and it's a touching enough moment, I think it should be more focused on the sports.
So I'm talking about the actual game. I'm not talking about them talking. I'm talking about the actual game. That's what I mean by the moment. Okay. And that moment is done incredibly naturally. In the script, it was supposed to be Jesus beats Jake 11-1. And Spike Lee said, no, we're not going to do that. Denzel, Ray, just play. And it's one of the most natural, like, everything that you are seeing is incredibly realistic. To kind of respond to your point, I think at that point, they're both coming from the sports, but I just think at this point, we've seen Adonis's more powerful victory in Creed emotionally. I don't think yours emotionally carries the weight. It's kind of a cool thing that is happening, but I don't think my moment has the weight of the entire movie behind it.
So I strongly disagree that his more challenging emotional victory is in Creed. It's definitely this one in Creed 2 because, and you know it from the scene when he's talking to his mother, when he's talking to Marianne, and she said, like, don't pretend this is about me and don't pretend this is about your father. This is Adonis's toughest struggle. He's gotten the championship. It's Rocky and Rocky 3. It's once you have the championship, like what is it worth to you to hold it? And he's already gone through the physical beating of, like, his kidneys don't even work anymore. He's gone through that in the movie. So yours might be the emotional weight of the whole movie, He Got Game, whereas my moment is the emotional weight of a 7-8 movie franchise. And it does that. So it also has a father-son. They do a great job at making a father-son relationship between a father and a son that never even met. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the weight of the whole franchise, because at the end of the day, your moment is ultimately, I think, one of a franchise that has, in my opinion, significantly better moments. I think some of the training montages, some of the fights from the first two Rockies, I think there is a cavalcade of moments from the Rocky franchise that I think are more memorable, more famous. I think your moment feels very personal and awesome to you, and that is great. I think, to me, I don't think that moment has the impact in general at large. To go back to the He Got Game moment, that game itself, because we haven't really talked about that, it's much closer than it should be. And
11-5 is not very close. And to watch Ray Allen, who's a professional basketball player, beat up on an old man, Denzel, I'm sorry, I didn't like it. I've played basketball. I get that it's a natural thing. I didn't know that when watching the movie. I didn't know, if I have to know that Spike Lee said just play to make it a great moment, to me, that's not a great moment. If I need that information outside the film, it's a very average match. And then Denzel gets tired and Ray Allen beats him. So as far as sports movie moments go, I really don't think it's that good.
Yes, if you are watching it from the back
1 minute,
if you are watching it from the back way perspective with isolated from the movie and just it's a kid and his dad playing basketball, it's not necessarily the closest game you will ever see. But we are not talking about the best sports showdown. We are not talking about what is the most qualified match, because I don't think your moment is particularly competitive, because in that moment, Drago's getting beaten down in that moment. Whereas I think it's about the acting. It is about all the little things that happen in that moment that reflect the emotionality of the character, because there is so much of a war going on emotionally. That is a war of emotions being played out through basketball.
But you even just said that Spike Lee told them to not act and to just play. It's just a street game that Denzel loses. My moment is so emotionally packed. It's the turning of the tide. Victor's been beating him up the whole time, and it's very nostalgic.
Time. All right, Boatman, you get to close your argument first. 1 minute when you start talking.
There's a difference between Spike Lee saying play the match out and him saying not act. He didn't say don't act. He said play the match out, and that is different. They are still acting. There's still so much behind what they are doing. It is just more improvisational acting, but they are absolutely within those characters, and every moment within that reflects what those characters are thinking. It is just an unpredictable outcome, because ultimately it feels very realistic, but just the way it is shot. But apart from that, it just feels so tight emotionally. When Denzel gets those baskets and Ray is legitimately getting mad, it's great. I also think the Creed moment, I think that it is Creed beating down on Victor in that moment, which is great. But we've seen Adonis have his symbolic victory.
Time. All right. Nick, you now have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
Boatman keeps talking about how the moment in his movie is great because it's natural and it plays, but the fact that it's natural makes it not a great moment. It's Ray Allen versus Denzel Washington in basketball. I wonder who's going to win. It's really not that unpredictable. Denzel Washington gets very tired and falls out by the end. So if the game is the moment, I'm sorry, it's not a good game. There's better games in the movie, like when Ray Allen's character is a younger kid. I think those are better, more meaningful, emotional moments in that one movie. Boatman said that my moment isn't even the best in the Rocky franchise. I completely disagree. This is Adonis's moment to overcome the desire to prove it. He avenges his father's death to overcome the desire to be his father. He becomes his own person. He defends the title. That's just as hard as winning it, if not even harder. He's not beating down on Drago. Adonis has been getting his butt kicked. He's on the ground. Everyone's yelling for him to get up, and he comes back with one arm because his ribs are bruised, and he's able to knock Drago down. Yes, he beats him down in that moment, but it's because it's a great fight. Everything about sports is nostalgia. All the nostalgia of the Rocky franchise comes in this moment. That's why we love sports.
Time. All righty. Bring in those. Bring myself out. I'm a crazy person. Okay. I'm all over the place. All right. I will start. I'm giving my point to Nick. I thought it was actually really close during the free form, but Nick's closing kind of did it for me. I thought Boatman's closing was a little weak. He focused too much on refuting hit Nick's last point and didn't have a lot to say about Creed. And I thought Nick's closing was really, really strong. So I give mine to Nick. Cody.
So I went the same way I went with Nick. The reason why, as much as I love He Got Game, I think Nick was able to tackle the question of sports moment more. I think overall moment, like father-son moment, fine. But when it came down to sports moment, I think he was able to take down He Got Game to a certain level and highlight why his was so impressive. So it was close.
All right, Nick gets the first point. Robert, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone?
I also would have said Nick. I think it was close until the end. I think Boatman was just a little bit too repetitive. I did like his argument, the earnestness of the moment and the emotional weight of the movie. But I agree. I just think Nick did a better job of talking about why it's sort of a big you-rah-rah swelling, what you want to see out of sports movie moments.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to question number 2. This is in the category of Disney animation. This was drafted by Mr. Boatman, and the question is, what pre-1970s Disney animated film has the best songs? So, Boatman, you drafted this. You get to go first. You have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
Yeah. I picked the 1951 film Alice in Wonderland. I think this film has the highest quantity of great songs. You have the Unbirthday song. You have a lot of great little melodies from All in the Golden Afternoon to a lot of the stuff with the Queen, like the Painting the Roses Red. And I think you have the Caucus Race, and you have I think Alice's little song is great, All in a World of My Own. I just think there's a lot of great little songs. Oh, don't forget The Walrus and the Carpenter is a full song, and that moment is great. And that song is great. Now the time has come to talk of other things, of battleships and sealing wax and cabbages and kings. I just think that whole soundtrack is just banger after banger after banger, and it does not stop.
Time. All right. Nick, you now have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
The straight question here is quantity versus quality. That's why I picked The Jungle Book. Clearly has the better quality songs. It doesn't have the mile-long list of songs in Alice in Wonderland. I'm sorry, it's not banger after banger after banger. It's all the same type of song. And it I'm not even going to be able to tell you all the names because they're all so similar. They all use violin orchestral music. Literally, every song starts with a long violin note, and then it starts with a Snow White-esque person singing. If even that. If it's not that, it's just a character in the movie basically talking their way through the song. The songs might be okay, in the context of the movie, but outside of it, they become terrible. And inside of it, it's basically just a score. It's one continuous score that all sounds the same throughout Alice in Wonderland, and the songs sound good, or the songs don't sound, or the people singing don't sound good. The Jungle Book, you have the bare necessities. You have I Want to Be Like You. You have the snake song. You have, and then you have a lot of hidden gems within the Jungle Book that people don't know about.
All right. Jungle Book versus Alice in Wonderland. 5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
All right, just to start off out of the gate, you are incorrect about your statement about the violin. There are plenty of songs that do not start. Birthday starts with tea kettle whistles. That is literally, musically, that song is super brilliant, basically making the orchestra sound like it is just being played from the tea kettles. I think that song itself is just brilliant. I think that you are absolutely dismissing a lot of the great little songs. I think everybody knows We're Painting the Roses Red. Like, I think really your descriptions were really incorrect. Like, it doesn't all start with violin. You make them sound much slower than they actually are. I disagree. To go on to Jungle Book a second, I think that ultimately Jungle Book has two good songs. And even then, I think Bare Necessities is overrated. I think, and ultimately, your songs do not fit the tone of your movie at all. They're going for this weird jazzy, like I Want to Be Like You is weird and jazzy, which does not fit that movie at all. And ultimately, the Pachyderm song sucks. That song sucks. We're Your Friends is one of the worst Disney songs.
No. So since you said mine has two good songs, yours has no good songs. There's not a single person who knows We're Painting the Roses Red or anything in Alice in Wonderland. I didn't say all of the songs. I said 95% of the songs, or if I didn't, I meant to. 95% of the songs start with the same orchestral music from Fantasia. It's just ripping off classic composers like Mozart and Bach and Beethoven, and then having characters talk over them. Yes, there's a tea kettle whistle song. Some of them start off like they're like little marches from Dumbo. It's all rehashed stuff from stuff that came before it. At least the Jungle Book has not only different stuff, but yes, it has a swing vibe. What do you mean that doesn't? King Louis is like the king of swing. What are you talking about? I Want to Be Like You is great. The Bare Necessities is great. I agree. Those are the two best songs. You also have a really cool march in there, in the style of a march. You have a beautiful ballad, which is the theme of the Jungle Book. And you have, there's this cool barbershop quartet tune, and the four people who sing it have incredible voices. So at least you have variety in the Jungle Book. All in Alice in Wonderland, you have 25, 30 songs that all sound the same. Some are 20 seconds long, and it's just the white hair saying, I'm late, I'm late. That's not a good song.
They don't all sound the same. You are describing so many songs as like one thing, and then you're saying, oh, they all sound the same, but you're giving lists. Some are little marches, some are softer ballads, some are like
this. About the Jungle.
You yourself are refuting that. Let me finish. You yourself are refuting that argument, so I disagree with that completely because you have just contradicted yourself.
No,
also, again, trying to go back to the barbershop quartet. It's called "We're Your Friends," by the way. That song.
I'm not going to remember every song.
Can you let? I did not.
No, because you're saying shit that I didn't say. Keep going.
I did not interrupt you. We're Your Friends is legitimately one of the worst Disney songs. That's the Vulture song. And that's the barbershop quartet style song. And that song legitimately, it's supposed to be this more upbeat song within the context of the movie, but it just sounds really miserable. The singers sound like they are not having fun at all. We're Your Friends. Like, it just, that one doesn't work. Like, you're also criticizing the marches from my movie. Jungle Book's march is not good at all, and the more march sounding songs like Caucus Race is way more fun and upbeat as opposed to the Pachyderm marching song.
Okay, so I did not contradict myself because I said all of your songs sound the same, and then I said that mine has marches and ballads and different types of songs. So no, I did not contradict myself. I said mine has variety, and yours all sounds the same, and it's rehashed stuff from Cinderella, from Bambi, from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's all similar stuff. It does not work at all outside the context of the movie. Half the songs of your mile-long list, like I said, are 20 seconds long, and it's just the white hair going, I'm late. The Mad Hatter being like, it's time for tea. Those aren't songs. Those are just moments in the movie that use a score that is very similar to every Disney movie that came before it.
You just described them as songs, and then you said they aren't songs. So pick one lane, please. But also, if we are, so either they're songs or they aren't. But also, again, you did actually say you did describe some of my songs as marches, and you did describe some of my songs as that, and you did. So that is incorrect. You did. But also back to, I think you keep hitting the point of it sounds like stuff from other movies. No, it doesn't. What song sounds like Dumbo? What song sounds like Dumbo?
The song from I don't know the names of all the songs because there's 25 of them, but the Bambi has the same orchestral introduction as 95% of the songs.
Time. You shall not pass the time. Okay. This was Boatman, so Nick, you get to close first. 1 minute when you start talking.
Jungle Book has about 8 songs. They're all really good. There might be one hit or miss in there. The Snake one is an underrated. It's really good. Like, people don't like it, but the one that the Snake sings is actually really good. A-E-I-O-U is a song from Alice in Wonderland that it sounds super weird, super out of place. And guess what? It starts with the same orchestral introduction. They all have the same background. Boatman can just sit here and say that it's not. But if the judges haven't heard the songs, they're going to believe whoever they want. Every background in every song in Alice in Wonderland sounds the same. Some are 20 seconds long. Some sound terrible. Some are just scores with people talking over them. They're not good songs in the movie, and they're terrible songs outside of the movie. When you say Jungle Book, people say, oh, I love the Bare Necessities. People say, I Want to Be Like You, because they're upbeat swing songs that do fit the context of the movie, and they're great outside of the movie. They're good jazzy tunes. They were a shake-up for Disney when the Jungle Book came out, so they weren't just copying everything that came before it, like Alice in Wonderland, and making it mediocre, like Alice in Wonderland. It actually has good songs, a good variety. It has a beautiful ballad and a nice march.
Time. All right. Boatman, you now have 1 minute when you start talking.
TWOHIG is saying I'm just saying things. TWOHIG is saying that the songs from Alice in Wonderland sound like other Disney movies, but he can't pinpoint a song that sounds like another song. He's just saying, oh, well, this sounds like another Disney movie. Well, you're not pinpointing what actually sounds like it. You're just saying it's a ripoff, and you're not giving me any specifics because you know I can refute the specifics because they don't actually sound the same. Ultimately, I think that the songs from Jungle Book take Bare Necessities, which I actually think is a little overrated. I think that it kind of actually brings down the movie. Want to Be Like You. The jazziness does not fit the tone of that movie at all. That is a very read the Rudyard Kipling book. Read everything. Like, that is not what fits that tone of that movie at all. And all my songs fit the tone of their movie. They are all completely different. You have the Unbirthday song, which is very happy and upbeat. You have the more ballads of World of My Own. You have We're Painting the Roses Red. You have a cavalcade of songs that reflects the zaniness.
Time. All right. I will try not to take myself out on accident this time.
We're all in the same row. How do you do that?
What?
Like, it's only 5. Like, it's the...
I don't know why that happened last time. Are you guys good?
Yeah, I'm good.
There's an ad playing on the whiteboard.
We're gonna start. This is gonna start wars, and I love it.
This is a great debate, guys. Good job.
Good thing we have a meeting right after this. No,
Robert, your vote didn't count last time, so you can go first.
All right. So the question was, what whatever has the best songs, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they both argued like similar things of how they work in the context of the movie. But songs also like can exist outside of the context of the movie. And I really liked that argument from Nick. So I ended up going with Nick. I think, well, there we go. I do think it was really, really close. I liked it was a lot of, oh, you're saying this, but you can't prove it. It was, you're saying that it's not, but you can't prove that it's not. It was just a lot of that was a wash for me. So it came down to the arguing the specifics of the songs, and I thought that Nick saying that outside of the context of the movie, the Alice in Wonderland songs don't really hold up. I thought that was a pretty strong argument that Kaleb wasn't able to deflect so much.
Interesting. I'll go next. I went with Kaleb. Kaleb's arguments, I thought that he was able to refute pretty much everything that Nick had said. I thought Nick's argument was very good, but also I just thought that Kaleb was able to talk about why his songs weren't what Nick was saying they were, and I thought that Nick didn't really have a good comeback as to why, when Boatman's whole point of they don't fit the tone of the movie or whatever. I didn't really think Nick's argument against that was very strong. So I went with Boatman. Cody, it's up to you. Where are you going?
It's a lot of fun. I'm having a great time. So this is a very semantics battle. Like, one doesn't play good outside the car, like outside the movie. One is your movie sound a little similar. The other person's like, absolutely not. You're wrong. Boatman misheard Nick at one point. He still, I think, dies to this day that he didn't overhear. I've been there. Don't worry. But I went with Boatman. And the reason why I went with Boatman, it was very close for me. But the reason why I went with Boatman is because I think at the very end, I leaned to the side where it sounded like classic composers. It sounded like this. It sounded like that. I knew Nick didn't know the songs, but he didn't give me any specifics to the thing. And I think that would have like locked it up for me a little bit closer. But Moblin was able to drive it home. But it was a super close. And I think, and I hate Alice in Wonderland. So
Yeah, that movie's trash. That's one of the worst Disney animated movies.
Hot garbage.
Okay.
It helps to know all the songs if you were in Alice in Wonderland.
That's fair. Okay, so we are all tied up 1-1 as we get into the next question, which was drafted by
That
Mr.
one
Nicholas.
woke me up. That one woke me up.
That's fair. The next question is in the category of the MCU. And the question is, who is the worst MCU side character? I'm very excited for this one. I don't know if you guys know this, but I've seen all the MCU movies, so I know what I'm talking about here. So I know, Cody, right? So Nick, you drafted this. You get to go first. You have 1 minute to open when you start talking. Oh, and sorry, before you start, this is just movies, Nick, not TV.
I was just about to say WandaVision sucks.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't related to my argument, but I just wanted everyone to know that I don't like WandaVision. Okay. Ian Boothby. You know him? No? Cool. He sucks. He's by far the worst MCU side character with a bullet. Because if we're being honest, Kat Dennings as Darcy is kind of a bad side character already. Probably in the bottom 3. And then you gave her a side character in Thor: The Dark World. You gave the intern an intern. And it was supposed to be this funny joke, but it really just doubled down on a thing that nobody liked already. You forced a romance between Ian and Darcy at the end that just made everyone go, what are you doing? Why are you wasting our time with this pitiful person who is not special, who is nothing, who does nothing for the movie, who suddenly like is supposed to have this weird, awkward like father-son relationship with Selvig because he kind of likes Darcy, but that doesn't even come across. Ian is by far the worst, most useless character in the MCU. Why do interns have interns? They don't. That's your.
All right. Boatman, have 1 minute when you start talking.
I picked Mantis from Guardians 2 and subsequent films after. Mantis is so annoying. I should know. I'm annoying. And Mantis makes me look tolerable. Mantis is a character who not only actively makes her movie worse, because she has some of the most cringe comedy moments in that film, she also is part of what ruins the spectacular character of Drax. Drax is one of the best characters of the first Guardians film, and Drax's interactions with Mantis absolutely ruin that character. And it's one of the worst things about Guardians 2, that whole moment where it's like, you're ugly. That is one of the dumbest moments in a Guardians movie, in an MCU movie. Mantis is awful. She is bad, and she makes her movie worse.
All right. Mantis versus Ian. 5 minutes. One of you starts talking.
I don't want to break your heart, Boatman, but Drax is not a good character. Those moments are bad because Drax makes them bad also. In fact, he's worse than Mantis. Mantis is probably the better half of that pairing, which is a weird pairing in general. I'm not going to argue that Mantis is like the greatest character ever. She is a little annoying, but she's miles better than Ian, who is just this nothing of a person. Mantis at least has powers. Mantis has taken on Ego and Thanos. When you think about that, that automatically bumps her up as like kind of cool. And she fits in the Guardians perfectly because she's basically this like homeschooled kid who has never had any interaction with anyone around them, which is the perfect misfit to put in the Guardians.
Okay, in terms of you are bringing first to take down your Thanos ego point, I think that is ultimately, that's just backstory written for that character. That's not necessarily things that make that character better, because I'm talking about inaction of the character. Mantis is absolutely I think you are making the argument that you are confusing worse with less useful. Mantis maybe has a purpose, but she actively is more annoying and brings her film down, whereas Ian Boothby is a meh character in a meh movie. If you take Ian Boothby out of Thor: The Dark World, that movie still has ultimate problems. The character Ian Boothby makes worse is Darcy. That no one really liked Darcy until WandaVision, because WandaVision actually did something with her. Drax is absolutely one of the most beloved characters from the first Guardians movie. He has some of the most fun moments. Why would I put my finger on his throat? I think Drax is hilarious in the first Guardians movie, and his interactions with Mantis absolutely bring that movie down.
I like him in the first one. He's not the greatest Guardian by far. There are 4 that I think are better than him. But I do like all the Guardians in general. I'm sorry, they ruined Drax as a character. It's not Mantis that ruins Drax. They don't even have Drax fight anyone in the second one. That's what ruins Drax. Mantis is the better half. You say she has no funny moments. I think the ugly line's kind of funny. I'm learning that I'm a pet and ugly. It's because she hasn't had interaction with any other being in the universe. It makes sense. And why wouldn't the backstory of the character factor into if they're the worst character or not? I think it absolutely does. The fact that she has these powers and can actually go toe-to-toe with Thanos is this odd out of left field thing that actually really is cool and works and makes her this useful person on the team. I think useful can be a good character trait. I think unuseful, like Ian, makes them a bad character. The fact of the matter is, yes, Thor: The Dark World would be bad without Ian. Ian's the worst part of it. To be the worst part of a bad movie, I think is a lot worse than being a meh part of a meh movie, which is Guardians Volume 2 and Mantis, who I think is better than Drax. And like, let's use knives. She has better moments. They brought her back because she's a better character. Ian, we're never going to see that dude again. He sucked.
Malekith is the worst part of Thor: The Dark World. Anyway, they didn't bring Ian back because no one liked Thor: The Dark World to begin with. Anyway, Mantis absolutely has some of the most cringe comedy moments ever. I think the knives moment, maybe we just have different senses of humor. I think it's also part of the way Palm Clemente plays that character. I think she plays that character as very over the top and annoying, and I don't think it works. And I think that fits part of the tone within the movie. I think ultimately, that character just feels very, hey, look at me. I am very funny. I am very funny. Look at me. And I think all of her moments, that is why Guardians 2 doesn't work as a movie, is all the, hey, look at me. This is very funny. That ultimately don't work. Ian Boothby, I think, it actually brings some comic relief to a very meh movie and a very bland, I mean, meh as in bland and dark and grimy. I think Ian Boothby actually brings some levity. Ultimately, it's something different that he brings to the table. Whereas you have a movie that is already, look at me, I'm very funny, and a character that is the worst version of that.
So I think you're underselling Mantis's other traits. Like, she's not just like a try and make a joke every 2 seconds. She also has really touching moments with Drax where they're sitting by the pond and he's thinking about his family and she's able to emotionally relate to him. That's actually a really touching scene. The fact that she turns on Ego and comes and tries to tell Drax, who kind of Drax ruins that moment by being like, oh, I was thinking about being with you physically. Drax ruins that, not Mantis. Mantis is the one who's like, no, like, you guys are actually in danger. I'm starting to feel for you guys. She fits with the Guardians. I think Palm Clemente plays it perfectly. How else would a person who has never interacted with anyone else, has lived on a planet alone as a flea, basically, how else would they act? That's exactly how they would act. I think it works really well. I think she fits in with the Guardians, who are misfits. She's a misfit who fits with the misfits. Ian Boothby is nothing. He's the intern's interns. He's the side character to the side character that is annoying, provides zero comic relief in an unfunny movie.
I think ultimately the Ian Boothby stuff is comic relief in a movie that somewhat works. I mean, in a comic relief that somewhat works in a movie that necessarily doesn't. I think it's a different thing for that movie.
Time. All right. Boatman, you get to close your argument. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Since I didn't really get to respond to explain, to answer your question about how else would, I don't think that is how someone who is in that situation would act. I don't think that would be necessarily off the wall, look at me, I'm trying to be funny. I think it would be more naturalistic comedy moments. And I think that's a problem. The difference between Guardians 1 and Guardians 2 is that the comedy moments in Guardians 2 feel much less naturalistic. Let's take Ian Boothby and let's take Mantis. What happens if you hit the delete button and get rid of Ian Boothby from Thor: The Dark World? Still probably one of the worst, if not the worst MCU movie. That movie still has a myriad of problems. And ultimately, I think that movie is just more bland, actually, because there's not some attempts at comic relief. What happens if you remove Mantis from the Guardians 2? I think that movie gets significantly better because you don't make Drax cringy. Ultimately, I think there's more brevity. I think that movie's great.
All right, Nick, you now have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
Getting rid of Ian does make The Dark World better. It doesn't make it a great movie, but it does make it better. All of his attempts at comedy, which you haven't named one, by the way, fail. They fail miserably. They double down on a thing that nobody liked from the first Thor movie, which was Darcy. They doubled down and made a Darcy 2.0 in the fact that he's her intern. He makes zero sense. He's not funny. The weird kiss at the end just makes it awful. It's why they haven't brought Ian back. Mantis has purpose. Mantis has more than just jokes. She has a couple funny jokes, too. She says, like, kick names, take ass. That's a funny moment in Avengers Infinity War. She has those moments, but she also has the heartfelt moments that you're not touching on. She has that heartfelt moment with Drax. She has that moment with the team where she decides to turn on Ego. And the fact is, she becomes a powerful, useful member of the team. In the MCU, usefulness is a good thing. It makes you a good character. It helps you to save the world. It helps you to save and fight for the good of people. Mantis is exactly how she was supposed to be. And the fact of the matter is, the Guardians of the Galaxy are a band of misfits, and she's just one more misfit who fits right in.
Time. Whew, boy.
I'm having fun.
This is good, guys. Holy shit.
I don't like that somebody played to my emotions, by the way. So there was a play to my emotions, and I don't appreciate it.
Are you guys good?
That's how objective I am. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, Cody, you get to start because you decided last time.
So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is not a mad movie. It's a pile of shit that steams. Okay? But I'm going with Nick because overall, I understand the useful comment. And I understand why that could not be like the most the take. But this is a debate that's turning into not what you said, but what you didn't say. And said a lot of comedy moments, adds a lot of moments, but you couldn't get anything from Boatman to clarify why that character is important. The only reason we know it's a comedy element, the attempts, is because Nick said it, which doesn't help Boatman's case in that thing. And the usefulness, I think, does play a factor. I know it's not the ideal of the question, but was able to use past that movie. So, yep.
All right, Robert, you go next.
I drew a boat. I think Kaleb actually did a pretty good job of saying why just because she has powers, that doesn't instantly make her a good character. I actually probably like Guardians 2 more than everybody else here, but maybe except maybe Tim. But no. I do agree that like she brings that movie down a lot and taints the rest of the Guardians a little bit, and that humor like ruins something that was really, really special in the first thing, which I thought Kaleb touched on really, really well. That not just Drax but the whole crew was really tight knit and beloved, and adding someone else with that sort of demeanor into that kind of throws it off in not a very good way. And I thought Boatman did a really, really good job of deflecting why just because she is capable doesn't instantly make her a good character. If you remove him breaking down, if you remove both of them, I thought that was a really, really strong argument too.
All right. I'll decide this one then. I actually agree with both of you, weirdly enough. I think what kind of did it for me was TWOHIG'S closing. I wrote TWOHIG. I think that TWOHIG'S whole thing about, like Cody said, the usefulness and all the things even within Guardians 2, which was what we mainly talked about, that she does beyond the somewhat annoying moments, I think worked. So yeah, no, I give it to TWOHIG. So he goes up 1 point. It is now 2-1 in favor of TWOHIG as we go into the final prep question. Cody, you look confused. You okay?
No, I just forgot what the question was. So,
okay, so the final prep question was drafted by Mr. Boatman. It's in the category of comedy. The question is, what is the best 1960s comedy? Boatman, you drafted this, so you get to go first. 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
I think the best comedy of the 1960s is both one of the best films of the 1960s and one of the funniest. I picked 1968's The Odd Couple, starring Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. On top, you have the first ever, or one of the first ever times that Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau worked off with each other. And ultimately, I think this is their best job working off each other. You have Jack Lemmon playing Felix, the neurotic, nervous, obsessive homemaker. And then you have Matthau playing Oscar, the slobbish guy who can be a bit of a jerk, but he cares about his best friend, Felix. Ultimately, because of Felix's situation, being forced to live together for a while. That brings to just some of the funniest moments in a movie you will ever see. You leave little notes on my pillow. You said, we need cornflakes. F you. Took me 3 hours to realize F you was Felix Unger.
Time. All right. Nick, you now have 1 minute when you start talking.
I'm going to upset a lot of people here. I freaking hated The Odd Couple. I'm so sorry. I watched the whole thing. I didn't laugh one time. I thought it was a very bad movie, and here's why. It's a concept that is meant to be a TV show. That's why it was made into a TV show, and that's why most sitcoms have adopted the concept since. Literally, you think of The Big Bang Theory, you think of Friends, you think of Two Broke Girls, you think of Sam and Cat from Nickelodeon. They are all adaptations of the concept of The Odd Couple, which was a play first, because it doesn't work as a movie. The entire movie of The Odd Couple feels like an hour and 45-minute long episode that should have been 30 minutes. I didn't laugh once. Sorry, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, I think is actually a really good, funny movie from the 1960s that I think still holds up today because it's about a concept that is unique to the 1960s, and it plays with it in a way that creates for good comedy. When you take such a serious situation like nuclear holocaust and make jokes out of it and make it work, that's impressive.
All right. 5 minutes freeform when one of you starts talking.
The big problem with picking Dr. Strangelove here is that Dr. Strangelove is not funny for the first hour. That's the biggest problem. You have a comedy that is not funny for the first hour. Intentionally not funny as to build up the absurdity, but ultimately intentionally not funny for the first hour, and that is a problem. Kubrick himself will tell you the first hour is not funny, and that is the problem. Ultimately, I'm completely surprised you didn't like The Odd Couple. I think that to pick on your TV show point, ultimately, I think that helps my argument. This format is so perfect as a comedy that it has been turned into longer formats of a TV show, which is longer than an hour and 45-minute movie. Ultimately, I think Odd Couple, you have Jack Lemmon just being absolutely hilarious. That is not a spoon. That is a ladle. I think the way he delivers a lot of those lines makes it very brilliant. You have Walter Matthau, probably, maybe in my opinion, giving the best performance of his career. I think Matthau is perfect at portraying both the desperation and the comedy in this.
Luckily, Dr. Strangelove gets funny. The Odd Couple never gets funny. I didn't say, I said it's a 30-minute episode. The Odd Couple, the movie, should be a 30-minute episode of a TV show. Do you want to know why? Because it ruins every joke, because it takes 10 minutes to get to it. When they're sitting with the girls, and we all know it's coming, like he's going to blow it and start crying, it takes forever, and by the time it finally happens, it doesn't work. Walter Matthau ruins every joke he tells because he laughs at it himself. You want to know the number one way to ruin a joke? Laugh at it after you're done telling it. It's terrible. The crew doesn't work. There's so much dead air that anytime they finally get to a mediocre punchline, it just doesn't work. You can say names of actors. You can say the director thought this. It doesn't matter. It's not funny. I laughed more when I saw that the character's name was Jack D. Ripper than I did throughout the entirety of The Odd Couple.
Okay, for one, your statement about Matthau laughing after everything he says is just incorrect. I think one of the best moments in the movie is his desperation plea to Felix when he is basically having a breakdown, being like, "You're my friend, but I can't do this anymore," which is where you get the great F. It took me 3 hours to realize F was Felix Unger. Just his breakdown emotionally is brilliant and funny, but he's not laughing at it. He's playing it straight in that moment, but that's what makes it funny. Again, you admitted yourself that the first hour of Dr. Strangelove is not funny. You did. You said Dr. Strangelove gets funny.
I said you may have said that.
You admitted yourself. You said that.
I just said Jack D. Ripper was hilarious. That's in the first second of the movie. Boom. Keep going.
I'm saying your original point. You backtracked, you backpedaled, you pulled the Boatman. But again, you're saying
I was repeating what you said. Now keep going.
Anyway, I think ultimately you also, to your point about the thing, there are a lot of little jokes within the British girl state. Yes, the ultimate punchline of that scene is Felix breaking down, but there are little moments within that work. Him going to the kitchen, him obsessing over the turkey in the oven. I think there are so many great moments within that. Dr. Strangelove, because I haven't really gotten to hit on that more than my first statement. I ultimately think Peter Sellers as the British guy actually feels very weak. I think him as the British colonel does not work at all. And it feels very out of place within that movie, actually, because I don't think Peter Sellers knows what he's doing with that character.
I thought that was one of his funniest characters, honestly. When he's sitting there with the guy who's revealing that the reason he basically started the nuclear war is because he had sex one night and arrived too early and he thought the Russians were trying to sabotage his body fluids. That's hysterical. The funny moment where the Russian ambassador comes in and he tries to pretend that the other guy planted a camera on him. There are so many funny moments. When Peter Sellers as the president is having the conversation with Dimitri and he's basically talking to like a girlfriend who's like mad at him, but they're talking about nuclear war. It's so funny and it works then and it works today. The Odd Couple did not work then. It's been done better literally hundreds of times as a different medium in a TV show because that's what it's supposed to be. The Odd Couple is literally just an extended 30-minute pilot episode of a TV show that ruins every joke because it takes forever to get to them.
Your biggest punch against The Odd Couple is that people liked it enough to rip it off. Like, that's what you're saying, is that people thought that this was good enough to rip off and steal, that it has been done to death. That is not the fault of The Odd Couple, that people thought that this was a brilliant premise and they decided to rip it off. That is not the fault of The Odd Couple for being a hilarious movie.
I thought it was
one of the funniest moments. He's too nervous to kill himself.
All right, Nick, you have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
I'm sorry. I know people like The Odd Couple. I'm sorry, it sucked. The reason it's a good concept, which is what I said, in a bad medium. It shouldn't be a movie. It's so stretched out. The reason it's been done as a show hundreds of times since then is because it works as a show. Because they saw that the movie didn't work and they knew it would be better as a TV show. There's so many jokes that just miss and they take too long to get to. I'm sorry, Felix and Walter Matthau, they don't even have that good of chemistry at many times throughout the movie. And you know what pisses me off is when Felix, at the end, it's so dated because Felix literally threatens to like kill himself if Walter Matthau like doesn't continue to be his friend. It's not funny at that point in time, and I actually kind of hate it. Dr. Strangelove has so many funny moments. It's a smooth 90 minutes. Every character is funny. Peter Sellers is great as every character. My favorite moment is him talking to the guy on the phone. He's like, "I'm fine. Are you fine? Listen, we accidentally sent some planes in there." It's hilarious. There's amazing performances throughout. Still funny and unique today, like The Odd Couple.
Time. All right. Move over to Boatman. Boatman, you have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
If we want to talk about places where Dr. Strangelove could have been done better, since we're talking about Odd Couple being done better, the 1964 film Failsafe, which has the exact same premise, but Dr. Strangelove ripped it off, and Kubrick pushed to get Dr. Strangelove released before Failsafe. Anyway, let's also do the math here. Let's say a TV show has 24 episodes in one season. Let's say one episode of a 24 30-minute episodes versus an hour and 45-minute movie. That is the length of The Odd Couple. And you're saying, well, the problem is it's too stretched out. A sitcom is way more stretched out, so that doesn't make any sense. Ultimately, I think Jack Lemmon, that is the point of that character, that he is so nervous to the point of having a nervous breakdown. And Matthau refutes it by saying he's too nervous to kill himself. He wears a seatbelt at a drive-in movie. I think ultimately there are so many funny little quips. It's Neil Simon's writing at his finest. It is Gene Sachs directing at his finest. Odd Couple's hilarious.
Time. All right.
Sorry, Odd Couple fans.
Do you actually watch it?
Yeah.
Nice. I couldn't tell. You're a good bullshitter. You're good at bullshitting things sometimes. Oh man. Okay. Oh, I get to go first too, don't I?
I'm not happy with anybody.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Boatman. I thought Boatman's closing was very, very strong. I love the closings today, apparently. But good job. Yeah, I thought Boatman's closing was really, really strong. The whole point about the TV show thing and just like the writing and the performances and everything was really, really strong. I don't know. It won it for me, so I give it to Boatman. Cody, you go next.
Can I get the question just again one more time just to make sure?
Yes, you can. What is the best 1960s comedy?
Yeah, so it was rough all around for me. I had to check my bias at the door because there's one of those movies that is one of my all-time favorites. What I think was a really strong point at the beginning was it's really hard to pick that movie as a comedy. It's not funny for the first hour. I think Nick did a really good job of rebuttaling. Again, this is a whole argument of like what person said what they didn't say. This is really awkward middle half. I think the ending was very strong from both. I just think Boatman closed a little bit better for me. And I put Boatman and I put a sad face and I said Nick made me sad. But I think Nick did a really good job. Comedy is subjective, and that is the whole point of comedy. So
Love debating comedy.
All right. Robert, your vote didn't count, but where would you have gone?
This one wasn't super close for me. I put Kaleb. I think Nick did a really good job of attacking Odd Couple, but I didn't hear one thing supporting Dr. Strangelove until there was the minute warning in the middle half. I just think purely from like the way that the debate was handled. You know, he spent his whole opening tearing apart Odd Couple instead of supporting. You know, he did get the couple of scenes with the Peter Sellers and stuff. It was just a little bit too little, too late for me. I needed to hear that earlier in the argument, just so the form of debate I think was much stronger from Boatman.
All right, so we are going into the bonus question. Here is how that's going to work. We randomized a section of Fanzone, Fandom Warzone, and then a category as well, kind of a little bit for this one. So we randomized that stuff, and then Cody and I came up with a question. We're going to say the question out loud. I'll say it once, and then I will repeat it again a second time. After I've repeated it a second time, you guys can say an answer. Whoever says their answer first will be going first. Whoever says it second will be going second. And you each will get a 45-second opening and a 30-second rebuttal. You can use your time however you want. But are there any questions about how it's going to work?
No.
Okay. So the question is in the realm of fandom. And the question is, what is the most watchable fandom movie?
rewatchable
fandom movie. So again, what is the most rewatchable fandom movie?
The Lion King.
Fellowship of the Ring.
Okay. So Boatman, you're going to go first with The Lion King. Again, remember you will have 45 seconds and I will give you a 10-second countdown. I'm going to stay on screen. We're all going to stay on screen. Yes, what is the most rewatchable fandom movie? So, Boatman, you have 45 seconds to open your argument when you start talking.
The Lion King is one of the most perfectly structured movies ever. Like that pacing, it's one of the most well-paced movies ever. I think that legitimately you have the opening stuff, which is super fun, with young Simba, and then you have him with Timon and Pumbaa, and then you have the final climactic battle. I think ultimately Lion King is a movie I could watch over and over and over again. Fellowship of the Ring, it's long, so it's not super rewatchable because there's not a lot of times where I want to watch 2.5 hour movie. Lion King is a breezy 90 minutes. Ultimately, I think it has a lot of great music that you can listen to. I think there's a lot of slog. Like, it takes a while to get out of the Shire. There's a lot of stuff, like, just in a lot of the locations. I think a lot of it gets bogged down.
Time. Nick, 45 seconds when you start talking.
The Lion King is not perfectly paced. You have that whole section with Scar singing his song that's really terrible. You skip the entirety of the middle of Simba's life, and then all of a sudden he's just ready to go back and do battle. You ever heard of Hamlet? Yeah, me too, because that's what The Lion King is. I don't need to watch that over and over and over again once, and I'm actually pretty good. I don't need to see Mufasa get trampled by beasts hundreds of times. The Fellowship of the Ring might be 2.5 hours, if that's really the thing we're going here is length. I'd rather watch 2.5 hours of gold than an hour and a half of, like, silver, bronze. You have so many new characters. Upon rewatch, you can learn new things about about all of the characters, because there's so many different things to explore. There's so many things that you get to relive. The moments are great, but all of the stuff in between is why you rewatch, is because you get to learn about the different relationships between all the characters and what makes them tick. There's nothing like that in Lion King.
Boatman, 30 seconds when you start.
It takes so long for the Fellowship to actually be formed. I think there's a lot of, like, I don't love the stuff in the Prime Synconi. I think that kind of brings stuff down. I think there's a lot of, like, really slowish, like, talky moments. I think other Lord of the Rings movies, there's a lot more action. You get a lot to the heavy. I think there's a lot of just kind of just waiting around. I think a lot of stuff in the Shire is like that. Lion King keeps things moving. I think the stuff with Scar is actually really fun. The song with him and I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts, I think that shows us what Scar is like as the
Time. Nick, 30 seconds when you start.
There's not a slow moment in the Fellowship of the Ring. I don't know why. It gets going from the moment. I love being in the Shire. I love having Gandalf find out what the ring is like. I love having Bilbo leave his party with the ring. They're all great moments. The Fellowship gets kicked off right from the very beginning, and it's this incredible adventure that you get to go on. There's great action with Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas. Throughout, there's great action with Gandalf. Gandalf for Saruman is great. The Lion King has forgettable characters like Zazu and the third hyena, whatever their name is. There's issues in the middle. I don't love watching The Lion King over and over again because there's nothing new you get.
There's a lot of sacrilegious stuff being said here tonight, Cody.
Well, what the actual fuck?
Oh, man.
Can we give him another 10 seconds? Oh, man.
God, the next time I watch the fucking Shawshank Redemption, I'm gonna shit all over it.
It'll be unchanged.
Damn.
This is fucking rough.
Yeah.
I love that. I'll wait till you have your stuff written down, then I'll sway. I don't want to sway anything.
Oh.
This match lived up to the hype for me, though, so thanks, guys. And you only got at each other's throats just a little bit.
I didn't want to learn all the names of the fucking songs.
I love you, Twig.
Love you too.
Are we good?
No.
Not particularly.
Do we have answers written that we're comfortable with?
No.
You need a shot.
I actually wrote both on my
Yes.
board, and I'm waiting to erase one of them.
Well, you're going first, I think.
The fuck?
No, Robert's
I
going. Robert's going first. That's right.
I-
You're going
I should
last.
be the deciding vote this time.
You are going.
I would not.
Oh, good. Maybe you fucking
Can we
people
make
can
sure
end
Cody
it.
doesn't pull a James White?
I'm gonna put both and whack one away.
Are we good?
I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna lose friendship, but I'm gonna go with this.
Okay, Robert, you get to go first.
So, it's most rewatchable Fandom movie. There's a lot of metrics by which you can say that, right? The runtime, how good the movie is, and the music, and the characters, and all that kind of stuff. I thought the person who made the best argument for rewarding each rewatch was Nick. I think his points about really getting into the intricacies of the relationships between every character and finding something new each time you watch the movie. I thought that was a really, really strong argument. I think Kaleb argued his argument perfectly. I think Lion King is an excellent, like perfect movie in every way. The runtime, I think, is a very strong argument. But as far as the movie gets better each time you watch it, I thought Nick made a better argument for that.
All right, I'll go next, and I won't sugarcoat it. I went with Nick for pretty much exactly the same reason Robert did. So, Cody, your vote doesn't count, but where would you have gone and why?
And I just can't wait to be king. I just overall thought that it was. I'm shocked that the Middle Earth Boys and the Disney show.
Hey, what happened? Tim cut out for me. I have no idea what happened.
You won.
You won.
Oh, cool.
My vote is Boatman, but the reason why it's not because of Lion King. I just think just overall how he was able the pacing. I don't think the pacing was able to be attacked. Boatman brought up some points about like what slows his counter for that is it goes from Jump Street and wasn't like give me a lot of things. Again, it's a very short time for a round question, but that's why I would have went Boatman.
All right, your winner is Nick TWOHIG. We will start by talking to the second place finisher today. Boatman, you played hell of a match. Like I was saying while we were waiting for votes, this match lived up to the hype. You guys both brought your A game. How are you feeling?
Good. I'll be honest. I kind of expected to actually do worse. So I'm feeling good. I'll be honest. When I saw the Disney question, I thought I was going to lose. Not when I saw Nick's answer, because I knew what his answer was going to be, because I think the Jungle Book is objectively the correct answer. And I kind of was like, Nick's going to take the Jungle Book and I have lost. So I just picked the one with the highest quantity of songs that I knew the most. So, and I was able to punch through that. So TWOHIG played a great game. I think that we play this match 10 times and we each win 5.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very, very close the whole time. So this does mean that you are out of the tournament, but you still are like one of my favorite people to watch debate. Is there anybody that you want to slap around later this season or next season?
Give me Jim Green.
I think we could maybe. Let me see here. Who do we got? We'll talk after the match. I got to look at the records, and see what the records are all about. But we can maybe swing something. Jim Green. That sounds fun. Actually, that sounds like a lot of fun. So, Boatman, we will see you very soon. Let's go over to Nick. Nick, you eked it out there in the end in the bonus question. You looked pretty upset at a couple of the rulings, but you managed to make the win happen. How are you feeling?
Well, I usually try not to. Everyone is going to be upset when someone votes the other way, and I try not to let it show. But man, I wanted that. I thought I was going to lose the sports one, and I knew I picked the correct choice, but I know Boatman just knows so much about pre-1970s Disney animation, and I hate it. So I kind of figured he would win that one. And then I thought I might lose the sports one, so I was like, I'm going to win the freaking 60s comedy one because no one's going to see that shit coming. And I really thought I had it. And then he spent his entire closing like doing math about something that I didn't say exactly, so I thought I had it, but then whatever. Outside of that, Boatman did fantastic, and Boatman's really good at it. Like I wasn't kidding when I thought he should have beat Cody in that match all those many years ago. But yeah, no, it was fun. I'm exhausted. I hate this, but I like it. Good time.
Well, you are going to probably get exhausted again because your next opponent is going to be either the rematch, Andrew Barr,
fun,
or Kirk Kolkowski.
Those both sound just fucking awful. Barr's going to make me defend some KKK movie again. And then freaking Kirk's going to make me watch some Japanese film I've never seen. And this is going to be a bad time for me. I'm not going to like it.
I think he already used Kurosawa, so you might be in the clear.
Not this round, so next round it's free.
we'll figure it out later. But Nick, congrats on the win.
Thanks.
We will see you in the next round of the tournament. Robert, your final thoughts.
Oh boy, that last one was like genuinely very, very close. I think Boatman nailed it on the head when he said if these guys played it 10 times, it'd be pretty damn close of who wins, 5 or 6 and 4 or whatever. A different question that last speed round, Boatman could have taken it a couple different points here and there, and all those were super, super damn close.
Yeah, and Cody, what about you?
I think this overall was really strong. They used arguably two of my favorite movies against them, in this round. So I'm really upset about that. It made it really hard because I have to check that at the door. Mm-hmm. Even though I voted for both my favorite movies, I'm not gonna say, but bullshit. But overall, this tournament's heating up to be a really good match, and that's the thing. Boatman and them could have met in the title, for the title or for the finals. It's just how the bracket broke down and where they were located. So, again, Boatman pissed me off when we debated it, and I still think he should have beat me too. So, but I still don't take anybody saying that they should have beat me correctly. So, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, good match. So, guys, thank you for checking out this episode of Fanzone. We will be back. I believe we are now on a weekly schedule. We are. So we will be back next week as we lead up to Mayhem and the title match to find out who's going to play Jacoby. So next week we have one that I'm also very excited for. Kaleb Koho is stepping back to play RJ. That's going to be a good one. So very much looking forward to that. So we'll see you next. We will see you next week with that match. Thank you to Robert and to Cody for judging with me today, and to Nick and to Boatman. We'll see you next time. Later.
That's my bad. I was sending a tweet.